This is a demonstration of how we can use the Maven-Lockfile and enhancements to Hermeto to prefetch Maven dependencies and potentially run Hermetic Java builds in some limited use cases. So the Maven-Lockfile is a plugin to Maven. Maven doesn't have actually any notion of a lock file, unlike, say, Node.js or Go. But this plugin, which is developed by researchers actually at a Swedish university, attempts to do this. So the way it works is if you have a standard Java project that is being built with Maven, you add this plugin to it, known as Maven-Lockfile, and you can give it, it's kind of a goal, and give it some configurations, which in this case I'm going to configure it to try and use the remote checksums if they're on Maven Central. And most of the time on Maven Central, the checksum is going to be MD5. SHA1 is also a common checksum that you will see on Maven Central. So I'm going to use standard Maven commands to invoke the goal that generates the lock file. And so we'll have to wait a few minutes while it scans the dependency statically on this project and generates the lock file for this project, which is actually a demo project that we have used for Quarkus. Now that the lock file has generated, I can show it to you what it looks like. This format is actually very similar to what you'd see for Node.js. It's actually inspired by the NPM lock file format, and it gives you information about all the dependencies that are in the project. It also includes the Maven scope, which is important to distinguish dependencies that are used to actually compile and use at runtime versus those that are used, say, for just testing purposes. Now I'm in Hermeto, and I'm going to use that lock file that was generated before to prefetch the dependencies with this new Maven resolver that I added. So just a quick glance at what happens in this file. It looks kind of like the NPM one, and that was actually literally used as inspiration. And what it'll do is it'll look at that log file and do the prefetch. And so I'll go ahead and use fetch steps with this new package manager Maven, and I'm going to point the source to that Quinoa wind turbine project that I was using earlier, where I generated the log file. And I am going to then let it run, and you can see it is downloading and checking the checksums of all the content, and everything was clear. So I'll show now the Hermeto output directory, and let me maybe zoom a little bit so you can see better. So you can see we have the bill of materials, and this is the default for Hermeto, which is Cyclone DX. And you can see we've kind of added this custom scope property where if it's test or compile or what have you, we're preserving that property, which is going to be very nice. And then if we look at the directory itself, if you look at deps, we have all the jars that we need. Now this is just the first step in terms of doing prefetch right. If we wanted to really do this right, we would probably want this directory to look like a Maven repository format, which just requires some additional metadata XML that needs to be generated. But otherwise, we are in good shape to get started with prefetching Java dependencies with Hermeto.